Alright, we're leaving our anchorage on Milos. Kalamos was the name of the place. And we're headed away to Santorini, or Thira. So we'll be saying goodbye to Milos. Been here for 6 nights total around the island, including Pelagos. Skipper, are you ready for the voyage?
I think so, yes.
What was special to you about Milos?
I loved our first anchorage. It wasn't at Milos. It was over at off the island of Pelagos, and it was just really cool to have your backyard be this little amphitheater of these mushroom-shaped rocks and all of that. And that was just sort of the start of 6 or so days of just amazing geological exploration. So that and the Plaka, the chora
village,
here,
yeah.
the traditional village on Milos, way up in the hills, overlooking the surrounding islands. It was beautiful.
Good.
And you?
And me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun exploring around the island on the ATV. That was cool. We don't get to rent those kind of play toys very often, so that was fun. I really liked Kleptikos and the neighboring little anchorage we moved to the next morning, and the huge walls there, amphitheater style walls that you could hear your noises and voices echo. And then just all the caves that we explored through there were really, really incredible. So Milos was quite an island. I think it's rapidly becoming my favorite island in Greece. When we came here for our honeymoon, I think Naxos was my favorite. But Milos, definitely a mixture of on the land and from the water. You can really see a lot, and I really appreciate Milos.
Hi, I'm Karen, and my husband is Tom. Welcome to Life 4.0, where we share our experiences of living aboard Sea Rose, our 44-foot sailboat, while we travel together to new and exciting destinations. What's with the name 4.0, you ask? Well, we both enjoyed careers in the software industry, so thinking about life in iterations or phases, well, versions if you will, came natural to us.
Karen's going out to swim on the anchor.
Our Life 1.0 represents our young lives before we met. In Life 2.0, we met and quickly realized we shared a passion for outdoor explorations. This version takes us through dating, including our first experience sailing together, and to our eventual marriage. During Life 3.0, we had, raised, and launched our 2 children. This includes a period of about 14 months when we lived aboard Thira, our previous sailboat, while we explored the eastern seaboard of the U.S. and the Caribbean islands while homeschooling.
We are anchored in Castos.
Life 4.0 finds us taking an early retirement so we can travel and explore while we have the health and energy to do this in the way that we want. We spend about half of each year on our sailboat and the rest enjoying land-based living and exploration with a home base in the northeast of the United States. We hope you enjoy our Life 4.0 as you think about shaping your own. There is only one go at this thing called life. Make the most of it. As we motored away from the protection of the high cliffs of Milos, the north winds filled in and we pulled out full sails. Turning off the engine and hearing just the slapping of the water against the hull and the wind and the sails and the rigging is always a treat. And we had decent speed. Before we would catch sight of the silhouette of Santorini and the surrounding islands in the distance, we would pass close by Folegandros, a sizable island southwest of popular Ios Island. You can see it just there. The winds continued to build throughout the day and into the late afternoon as Santorini came into view. These black circles on our sail are visual indicators that designate reef points that we would use depending on the strength of the wind. Currently, I have one reef in. Specifically, we have rolled up our sail to the first black circle, or the first reef point. When you reef, you decrease the amount of sail you have exposed, and this protects the sails and the rigging during strong winds. It also prevents you from heeling too much. There is a comfortable heel for each boat. This is the point where you're not heeling too far over in the water, but far enough to take full advantage of the wind and yet still move efficiently through the water. If the wind builds more, we would roll to the second reef point, and then to the third. Over time, you get used to how much wind will require specific reefs, and this differs by boat and sail designs.
We got the ferry Blue Star Delos coming out of Thira and making a close call by us here. Just gonna take our stern, but not by much.
And he keeps turning.
Yeah, it's a big ship. Pretty soon we're going to have to either jibe or, well, we're going to have to jibe either way, but we're going to have to take the sails down here in a minute. We're going to go around the corner around, where is it? There we go. That point there, and inside there is a place we can pick up a mooring ball. It's very hard to anchor here. The waters are deep, a lot of wave action. So we found a place called Captain John's, which we're going to use to take one of their moorings for at least a night.
Notice the bulbous bow just under the water. Big ships often have these to break the waters before the much wider hull pushes through. This is the town of Uia, which sits on the side of the caldera on the northwest point of the land of the large island of Santorini. Notice the switchback nature of that road. In the center of the caldera there is the main town on Santorini. It's called Thira. This is where so many of the famous photos of this area have been taken both from and of. It is quite a ways from us at this point, so it is hard to understand the scale of the town. The ferry traffic is just non-stop.
Despite the COVID pandemic, there's boats going everywhere here. At least there's no big cruise ships, but that straight ahead was a jet catamaran that passed us at 30 knots. I'm trying to figure out what this person's intentions are. It looks like a car ferry, but it's not an AIS. And they're holding their course, not doing anything related to us.
As we enter the caldera, then jibe to head toward the mooring field off of Thirasia, this island over here to my right, the strong winds had us screaming along. It is that wind compression effect that we have spoken about in the past. As you sail close to land at the intersection of the land and the line that represents the direction from which the wind is coming, you often feel a significant increase in the wind strength as the wind compresses to pass the land. We're coming into our mooring spot, right around the corner up here. We've got 20 to 25 knots of wind. It's gusting pretty strong, even though we're getting behind this big bluff here. Plenty of wind in the caldera. We'll be looking for Captain John, who has a couple of mooring balls for rent.
All right, we've arrived in Santorini. Well, the island of Santorini, but we're in a little village called Corfos, across from the main town on the other side of the caldera. And we're staying on a mooring that's part of the Captain John restaurant. 25 euros for a night, or for 2 nights. Same price. So a nice gentleman came out and helped us get situated on the mooring. It's also always helpful because you never know what the arrangement is. They've got these big buoys here, so the water here is super deep. We were definitely closer in than that car ferry, and Karen said she still didn't get a reading on her depth sonder, which goes to 600 meters. So that gives you a sense of how deep it is. 1,800 feet where that car ferry is. So these mooring balls, I'm not sure how far down they go, but deep. So we took a mooring here for the bow, and then he gave us this tail, this line that helps us pull in that big honking stern line, so we can be stern to the shore, just like our neighbors here are doing. And I think they have room for 5 or 6 boats here, so we feel lucky to be here. Across the way is sort of the main part of Santorini. Actually, the real main town is around the corner from there, but I'm just looking here and seeing that we've got a zigzaggy trail that goes up to the ridge up there, which I'm sure has got awesome views, so we'll have to do that while we're here. And this is the car ferry that just about ran us down about a half an hour ago, and we're jiving into the harbor here. I'm sure they wouldn't have run us down, but he didn't wait until a very long time before he turned to take our stern. Milos, Thira, and some people on the dock here getting ready. This is a crazy place. This caldera, the dimensions of it are just blow your mind. The fact that there was a whole island here that blew up, and the whole interior of the island is gone. So from here to way over there, and way in the distance beyond that little white powerboat is at least a 2-masted sailboat. It looks tiny. So it's, probably several miles across. And all of this is another part of the rim of the caldera way down there. We're part of it here. And so all of this material was just blown up in the sky and disappeared. Just amazed what Mother Nature will do.
Up we go to hike this white, winding path that climbs back and forth up the side of the caldera toward the town of Milos on the rim. As evening approached, boat after boat cruised into the anchorage to allow their patrons to take in the sights and possibly to moor for a bit and enjoy a dinner ashore. We love the view, as you can tell from the number of times we captured it as we rose higher and higher. We reach the top. There's a single road the width of a path that stretches along the rim in this part of Thracia. This represents the upper end of the small town that clings to the cliff. The view over to Santorini is stunning. Sea Rose bobs on her mooring far below our perch. While Tom flew the drone, I chatted with a family who also ventured up the steep path. Turns out they were on the boat right next to us. We decided to enjoy a dinner together at one of the very few restaurants in this quaint village. We talked about the peace and quiet on this side of the caldera compared to the high tourism area across the water.
So we met a nice family of Austrians who live in Germany. And they were on the mooring ball next to us. We did a walk up that path last night, and we're exploring around and met them up there, walking around as well, and they invited us to have dinner with them, so we had that. Dinner with them up on a taverna up there. Simple dinner. I wouldn't say it was terribly fancy or fantastic, but it was okay. And we had nice views of the sunset, of the sun colors setting over the main town of Thira. It's beautiful. Now we are off to Crete, like 60 plus miles to go today, so we're trying to get going at first light. And a beautiful morning here on Santorini. Sunrise is just coming up. We got some good wind. That should be nice. Probably raise the sails once we're kind of out of the cliff area here. We get a sense of what the prevailing wind direction is. And over here, this sort of low-lying island is in the sort of center of the caldera. It's what they call the lava plug. Left over from 3,600 years ago, I understand, when the explosion happened. And you can actually explore on the island there. And then also this other little piece here that's kind of a cool sharp drop off of a cliff there. So we are headed out down through that gap up ahead, and pretty much straight on that course down to Crete. So it'll be a full day, and we should be able to get in before nightfall, given our early start. So we'll be doing that. And it'll be nice to have a memory of Santorini once again after Karen and I were here 28 years ago for our honeymoon and really enjoyed staying on Thira and watching the sunsets and looking over across to this island, of course having no idea that we'd be back on our own boat enjoying this amazing caldera once again from the water.
If If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notified of new videos. It took an hour just to motor out of the caldera. This is truly massive, and it's hard to wrap your head around the displacement from the volcanic eruption of the amount of earth that would have fit into this space. What a marvel. Join us next time as we arrive on Crete near the town of Heraklion, roughly at the center of the long east-west oriented coast of huge, intriguing Crete. While on Crete, as the Greeks would call it, we visit an ancient Minoan settlement, taste yummy wines, and see the first of several Venetian harbors. Thanks for watching.